Hello, long time since I've done this. It's gonna be a talkie video. It's not the Friday Talkie, it's Benway goes blah or something. Channel update. Well, not so much channel update as what the hell's going on with me, because it's been a long time. I think I said that already. Things are not what you might think in Benway's world. Last thing you knew, I was doing a photography degree and that was taking up all of my time and I didn't have time for this. Things are not like that anymore. The photography degree has gone out of the window. Why? Because more important things than that have gone out of the window. Andrea and I have separated. This is not new news, though it will be to most of you. This happened in February. Yes, we just basically were pissing each other off, not getting on well, things were just going badly, so I moved out. I'm now living, I have a room in a shared house in the same town, just, well, near the centre of town actually. It's like there are 14 rooms in this house, so it's sharing with all these people, which to a person like me who actually doesn't really like being around people should be an absolute bloody nightmare. But it's actually not. I'm finding it kind of amusing. I don't know, pleasant? Yes, kind of. Interesting. There are some very nice people. Yeah, it's kind of, it's a lively environment. Not always what I look for, but yeah, it's quite tolerable. I'm still friends with Andrea. We're still married. Whether or not that remains to be the case, don't know. Divorce was talked about and then not talked about, so I don't know. But we're on good terms. I go over there every day to look after the dogs in the daytime, and we still see each other. So, you know, we're kind of married but not living together. It's a peculiar arrangement that it goes back and forth how well it's working. But at the moment, you know, it is what it is. In terms of, so what am I doing with my time now if I'm not doing the degree? And I'm not doing the degree because basically I can't afford it. And I took a job out of necessity. It's not a good job, it's a menial job, it's part-time, it's very little money, but it pays the rent. But it leaves me with not the time nor the, well, I don't know about the time. I probably have got the time to do the degree, but I don't have the money. It's kind of an expensive thing. Paper to print on is actually just way expensive. The proper photographic paper, the kind of thing that they expect. And maybe I'm just making excuses. Maybe I just kind of could have done it but got sick of it, to be honest, because I did. It was destroying my enjoyment of photography. The bullshit, the art bullshit, because it's not the kind of degree it was not how to use a camera and take technically brilliant photographs. It wasn't that kind of thing, it was the art side of it. And while I like and appreciate and believe a lot of the stuff that I learned, a lot of it I just looked at and thought, that's just such bollocks. And that got to me in the end. When you've got to write stuff that you don't believe in, I kind of started questioning, do I want to do this? I mean, yes, it was a means to an end. It should have been a means to get into a decent job or something. But that's just not going to happen now. Yeah, so that leaves me with time maybe for this YouTube, because I didn't have the time before. Now I have the time. Do I have the space? Well, I have my whole collection. I mean, there's no more funky games room where everything is on display and easily accessible, but I managed to keep hold of all of my stuff. I'm not going to swing the camera around and show you because it's like living in a stock room, kind of. It's ultra geeky, so I like it in that sense, but it's not It's not something to show off. But yeah, I now have the time to make videos. I need to get back into it as a thing. I'm kind of have lost the knack. I mean, I've been uploading videos on a weekly basis, as you know, the gameplay videos. But those are from last year. Quite literally, I recorded most of those a year ago. The only recent stuff has been like the hardware reviews, the Android stuff. Everything else is a year old. And I'm still uploading the gameplays just because why not? But I do plan to keep, you know, the channel going. I will do new stuff. Whether or not I get more stuff to review, I don't know. That's not up to me. That's down to whether companies want to send me stuff. If they send me stuff, I'll review it happily. But I won't be buying any stuff to review because literally I can't afford it at all. What I earn in my job, it pays the rent, it pays food. I have a very, very little left over, which is for like, well, you never know what you're going to need money for, but it certainly isn't going to be going on gaming hardware. Yeah, it kind of makes me chuckle actually. I got a big long spiel from some troll recently whose main objection to me was I was rich and middle class and think I'm better than everyone else, and I just kind of had to laugh because it's like, you have no idea how poor I am. Yeah, middle class, no, seriously, very, very, very working class. I'm not telling you what I do for a living. One or two people know actually, and it's very working class. And I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely, it's like, it's a new and different life. And I'm actually kind of enjoying it. Yeah, I think I had been stagnating. And now I am not. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, really. But then, when has that ever not been the case? So that's that. That's where we are now. I do intend to do more live stuff. I know I did that live stream recently where I just had the webcam pointing at my TV and I was playing games. I do plan to do more of that kind of thing. Not necessarily gameplay, though maybe some of that. I used to do Q&A type live streams, and it has been suggested that I do more of that, and I think I probably will. Maybe I'll combine the two styles of stream together. I'll like maybe start off gameplay, point at the screen, play some whatever badly, and then turn the camera around and point it at me and do Q&A, because what I can't do mostly when I'm gaming is see what people are saying to me until, say, I've finished the game, and then I look at my little screen and see what people have said and reply to them. But it's hard, and I miss a lot of what gets said. So I might combine gameplay with Q&A, sort of switch from one to the other. Don't know. In terms of gaming itself, what am I doing these days? It's kind of weird. I've got a PS4. But modern gaming, for me, I wonder, is gaming, does it work in the same way as music? In that you reach a point in music where you stop staying up to date. This is, I don't know if this is true of everyone, but it's true of a lot of people I know. You know, you get into music in your teens or just a bit before that, and you've got your favourite bands and you follow them and you buy all of their stuff, and then you reach a point, maybe in your late 20s, early 30s, something like that, where music just gets away from you. The rest of your life starts to take priority, you stop paying attention, everything starts to sound the same that's coming out, and you just stick with what you know, and maybe one or two new things that you hear every now and then and think that's cool, and you buy some of that. But largely you stop progressing. That's true of me anyway. I mean, I stopped really paying attention to music in '94, but most of my favourite stuff is from the '80s anyway. But I think I kind of hit that point now with gaming. This generation, PS4, I've got very few games for my PS4, and even fewer that I actually bother to play. I completed Grand Theft Auto 5, and I haven't touched it since. And the thing is, when I was living with Andrea, we had really good broadband, and so I played a lot of the online stuff, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, that kind of thing, and loved it, the online stuff, because you could do pick up and play with that, you know, maybe play for half an hour or an hour. I preferred to play for 4 hours at a time, but I didn't always have 4 hours to spare, but that was like my thing. But where I'm living now, while we have Wi-Fi, the broadband here is, download speed is adequate, like you can stream a movie or whatever and it's quite adequate, but upload speed is appalling. My recent video, the review of the GPDXD Plus, 50-minute long video, that took something like 8 hours to upload here. That would have taken an hour at Andrea's place on her Wi-Fi. I mean, I feasibly could have put it on my laptop, taken the laptop with me and uploaded it there. Just goes to show that the Wi-Fi here sucks, so online gaming is just not a thing for me now. So the PS4, it's not really modern gaming in general. I mean, the online stuff aside, somehow it to me just feels too big. I can't commit myself to it, even though I've got the time now. I got out of the not out of the habit. For so long I didn't have the time. I couldn't commit that much time to follow a storyline, so I just didn't bother with any of it. And even though now I have the time, I'm sort of in the habit of not having the time and not committing that much to a game. And my gaming taste, shall we say, has become far more pick up and play. I'm very much into, well, of all the stuff that I've got, the thing that gets the most play is actually the Pandora's Box 4S. It's just here. It's just off camera. I play that. I've got it set up. It's not actually hooked up to the telly there. It's got its own monitor right just there. It's sitting on a pile of plastic storage boxes. So it's kind of like a home arcade system, only without a cabinet. It's just made of random things that are piled on top of each other. Yeah, that's the thing that gets most play in this place. That's kind of what my gaming is like now. I've got all the real hardware, and when it comes to making videos I will use the real hardware, but when it comes to just generally wanting a quick play of a game, I'm either playing on the GPDXD or the Raspberry Pi. If I want it on the big screen, Raspberry Pi. This iRobot, it's MAME, and that's running on my Raspberry Pi. The Pi 2. So yeah, that is where I'm at. There will be more videos. There will be, I don't know if there will be more of me going blah like this. Maybe if there are topics that are happening on YouTube that I'm interested in, I will add my 2 pence to them. There are actually 2 topics that are doing the rounds at the moment that I am going to discuss in a minute. Yes, more live streams of one sort or another. There will definitely be more gameplay because that's what I do badly, so you can see what it looks like. Interestingly, I'm aware that my gameplay videos are not my most popular video. You want more of this, Benway going blah, preferably on a Friday. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not on a regular basis. The Friday Talkie is not coming back, sorry. And the gameplay is like, it's been described as cheap and throwaway. Yeah, it kind of is, but it was also said it was done for the sake of it, and no, it isn't. It's done because I enjoy it. It's fun for me. And there are still some people out there who enjoy watching them as well, and a whole lot who don't. And there is a thing that I've noticed when I upload those, they get massive numbers of thumbs down. That's sort of been a thing on and off for a year or so. I mean, there are a couple of theories about what that's all about. Is that people just don't like them, and this is legitimately like 50 or 60 people clicking thumbs down? I don't actually believe that's the case, because they tend to appear all at once, and they're all based in the UK. So it, to me, is one of a couple of things. It is either someone with a shed load of bots, I don't know how that would work, or, you know, YouTube have this thing for algorithms, and it's like their algorithm has decided, hey, these videos aren't particularly popular compared to this guy's other stuff, so let's give him a little nudge, let him know that actually this stuff isn't what people want. Let's just calculate a load of thumbs down. Not count them, they don't count them, they calculate them. And I think it's possibly YouTube just trying to give me a nudge and say, look, this stuff's not popular, do something else. You know what, if that's the case, YouTube, get stuffed. And if it's a troll, get stuffed. And if it's people who genuinely are watching and thinking, we don't want him to do this stuff, get stuffed. Because I like it, and I'm doing it for me, not you. Yeah, rant over. It's not really a rant, actually. It's musing, theorising about what that's all about. No way of really knowing. Don't really care. Going to keep on doing what I feel like doing, because I do this for me. I said do. Yeah, and you know, it pleases me if other people like it. It really does, and I like the positive feedback, and I'm always appreciative of it. Yeah, so that's that. There were other things I was going to talk about, weren't there? Yes, there's been a question that has been doing the rounds, originally by a guy called John Hancock, who I must confess, I am not familiar with John Hancock, but I know he started the question, and a lot of other people have spoken on it and given their opinions and whatnot, and that is, are there too many YouTubers now, particularly in the field of gaming, the gaming community? And initially I thought, what a preposterous question. But having watched a bit more, I get where that's coming from. And I suppose my thoughts on that are, it depends what you want out of YouTube. What are you doing? What are you trying to achieve? There are channels on YouTube that are trying to be a TV station, shall we say. They're doing a professional product, and they want the big numbers because they want to make a living from it, and maybe they used to make a living from it, and because there are more and more people, and there is a level of saturation or oversaturation, it means that the money they receive is going down. Either they're receiving fewer views because they're not getting noticed in this sea of YouTubers, or just the value of views has gone down. You get less money. And it is true, I get the same money from YouTube ad revenue now that I got when I first started putting ads on, what, about 8 years ago, something like that. The views have gone up a bit, not a lot. Subscriber count's gone up way high, but the actual money coming from it hasn't changed. It's never changed. It stays the same. I'm never going to make a living from it. Doesn't matter, because that's not why I do it. There was a time where I thought, yeah, I'd like to do that. I thought if I can get the big numbers, I can effectively retire from proper hard physical work and do this. Not gonna happen. But I don't care, because originally I was doing this just for the fun of it, and now I'm just doing it for the fun of it. Really, content hasn't changed anyway. But yeah, I can see that for people who are trying to do that, the professional thing, the high production values, there may be it's too hard to break into the big numbers, or if they had the big numbers, there is being diluted because there are so many people. But I have respect for anyone who can make a living doing that, absolutely. But I don't agree with anyone who thinks they have a right to make a living doing that. They're putting in the time, the effort, the production values, blah, 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 so they should be able to make a living. No. I think if you make a living out of this, it's luck. You can put in as much time and effort as you like, but unless you have got that certain something that people really like, and usually it's personality, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in. No one has the right, no one automatically, because of the effort they put in, should expect success. It doesn't work that way. And also, there is a misconception, I think, that high production values and researched material, well-produced, knowledgeable, factual videos on a given subject automatically mean lots of views. Doesn't work that way. I've never had high production values, but for a time I used to review the retro hardware. I would make videos like the history of a whatever, or just a video about a retro system, and I would research it, and they were popular. But ultimately, I'm not an expert on any of those systems, and everything that I researched, what I was saying was only as reliable as my source material, and sometimes that wasn't reliable. And you're always going to get someone who can point out, you don't know what you're talking about. So doing your research to make a video is not necessarily a guarantee of quality or success or respect or anything like that. We can all read Wikipedia. So doing factual, historic, retro gaming hardware or software or whatever videos is a risky thing. High production values and research is no guarantee of anything. The only thing I think that guarantees success on YouTube, if you want the big numbers, is personality, and that's not something you have control over. You either have it or you don't. It's a lottery, is YouTube. People who think that they're owed something, I don't agree. So from my perspective, are there too many people on YouTube? Absolutely not. No, the more the merrier, I think. I have met some fantastic people on here. I have learned so much from the people on here. And there was a time where I thought I knew most of the people in the retro gaming community back way like 10 years ago back then, but it has it's now massive, and the number of people I know in comparison to the number of people who there are, I haven't kept up to date anyway. I see big channels that have come up from I don't know where, I don't know how long, and I'm like, that's cool, they're doing good stuff. Got no idea who they are, because I think the part of the community that I was aware of was just one tiny little corner of the bigger community, or it's just little corners appeared here, there and everywhere that were completely separate, and then you get it's just huge. And you can find people who are doing brilliant stuff without having been aware of them previously, because they were operating in different circles, if you like. I find it fascinating. Too many people? No. Too many to actually find all of them, or all of the people who are doing stuff that you're interested in? Maybe, but what are you going to do? You can't filter it, you can't put a limit on it, you just got to go out there and look, or not. Be pleasantly surprised every so often when you find someone who's doing something you're into. That's just kind of how it works. And I mean, subscriber count actually doesn't matter a whole lot. I think I've had a thought process going around in my head there that's unrelated to what I was just speaking about. So I'm going to jump track here and get on to that. Your subscriber count doesn't necessarily relate to your view count, in that I've got 18,000 subscribers, but my views are relatively low. And if I do a video that gets good views, it's not from my subscribers, it's from search and related videos, if I might appear in the sidebar, and usually that's hardware reviews of like these Android things. Yep, train of thought derailed, fallen down the embankment and gone into the canal. Where was I going with that? Can't remember. There's a thing as well. YouTube currently have been tinkering with their algorithms. The subscription thing page, it's like they control so much of what people see with algorithms, recommended stuff, recommended videos, recommended YouTubers. And up until now, the only thing where you have been pretty sure you would see what you wanted to see was your subscribers. Is it subscribers or subscriptions? Let's have a look. Can't remember. You've got, yes, your YouTube feed subscriptions. And you used to have like recommended or subscriptions or something like that. And subscriptions was the only thing where you were guaranteed to see exactly what you had subscribed to. But YouTube have been experimenting with that to alter the order that you see stuff from channels you're subscribed to in that it used to be chronological. You would see the most recent video at the top and the older ones towards the bottom, but they've been altering that so that the ones they think you would be most interested in are the ones that appear at the top. All of the others would still be listed, but if you're subscribed to hundreds and hundreds of channels, there will be some that will get pushed down to the bottom and you just might miss them. So this is having an effect. This is doing a lot of damage. Not to YouTube, because it means that for them it's all about watch time and advertising and money at the end of the day. But for the YouTubers concerned, they're losing a lot of viewers. Certainly, I've noticed out of the blue about 3 or 4 weeks ago, subscription-wise, I used to get something like 150 to 200 new subscribers per month. And then out of the blue, just suddenly, bam, that went down to like 30, 40 a month. I'm not complaining. To me, it doesn't matter. I'm not in it for the numbers. But I found it interesting that whatever it is YouTube are doing, it is having a dramatic effect. And it's hurting a lot of YouTubers, particularly, I think, smaller channels who are trying to get somewhere, get some traction, get noticed. It is now really, really hard. And I do sympathise with those channels. But is that because there are too many YouTubers? I don't think it is. It's not about how many YouTubers there are. It's about YouTube messing about and not actually caring about community. For them, it's all about the bottom line. Yeah, it's a shame. Things aren't what they were, but we don't have an alternative. We've seen that. There have been other websites, you know, challenges for the crown. They've come and gone and none succeed, and whether it will remain that way, who knows? I don't know. yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Rambling and going round the houses to get there. Are there too many YouTubers? No. Yeah, I can see how people trying to make a living off it would think so, but you don't have a right to a living on here. So, other subject. I had another subject. Yes, the Atari VCS. It's going to be a thing. What the hell is it, and what do I think of it? I mean, you're probably totally aware of it by now. This new piece of hardware produced by Atari. I don't know who owns the Atari brand now. Last I knew it was the French company. I don't know how you pronounce it. Infogrames. It's weird. It's like I always, for a long while I didn't even see the R and I thought it was Info Games, and then it was like, hold on a minute, there's an R there. How the hell do you say that? Whatever. I don't know if it's still them. But they've made this piece of hardware that's styled kind of vaguely similarly to the Atari 2600, except the ridges go all the way up the back, and I just think it looks a bit weird. I'm not a fan of the styling, but whatever. It's an underpowered PC, is what it is, running Linux, Ubuntu Linux, I think, which is not a bad form of Linux. I've used it. I'm not a fan of Linux full stop, but at least I could get my head around Ubuntu. I mean, I do find Linux weird in that installing games, for me, I found it was either really, really, really easy or really, really bloody hard. You know, you either had a nice simple installer, double click and away you go and it does it all for it, or you've got to know some weird bizarre scripting language and stuff that I'm like, but that's neither here nor there really for this. Anything that's on it will, I'm sure, be easy to install. So videos I've seen that have analysed what the likely internals of it are conclude that it's basically laptop hardware. It's sort of modern-ish PC hardware, but it's the low power, low energy stuff that you would get in a laptop with passive cooling, because there's not a lot of room inside that thing, and anything more powerful and it would just overheat or get throttling and stuff, and you don't need that. So you got an underpowered Linux PC. With it you get to play all these Atari 2600 games with this package that's been available on Steam for ages for a tenner. And it'll play modern games, modern Atari, new Atari games. And there's like video footage of it playing Tempest 4000, which Llamasoft say, we're not developing that for Linux or the Atari. We have no knowledge of this, so, you know. I would not buy one, or I don't plan to. Well, I'm not buying anything at the moment, as I said earlier, but it's like, do I get it? What the hell is the point? You can do all of that with a Raspberry Pi or a PC. The only thing that sets this apart from anything else that can play old Atari stuff and Linux PC games, the only thing that sets it apart is it's got an Atari logo on it. You know, and it's made by a company that has the rights to use that logo. That is the only thing. Is it going to succeed? If it's not, well then it might become a collector's item. The last Atari piece of hardware, which currently, as far as I'm concerned, is the Jaguar. But I think in terms of something to use, yeah, as a collector's item, it might become a valid thing to have. A piece of history, perhaps. But if your interest is in actually playing Atari games, I don't see the point. I don't. $200 to $200 to $300, which when it gets ground through the exchange rate mechanism or whatnot and the way the markets work and we get shafted in Britain, it will probably be £200 to £300. For something where, well, you could play all of those games for free on an emulator, on, you know, the 2600 games, Raspberry Pi. Hell, they've been emulating Atari 2600 since forever. I used to play 2600 games on my Amiga 600. You don't need a £200 to £300 piece of hardware to play those things. Or you could just have a real Atari 2600 and plug in a Harmony cartridge and get a lot more out of it, I think. Yeah, I don't, as a piece of hardware to play games on, I do not rate it. I think it's a joke, to be honest. But it's playing on nostalgia, or is it aimed at people who had Ataris back in the day and want to play them again now and don't have the technical know-how to just set up an emulator? Is it? Or is it aimed at the people who didn't have an Atari back in the day, but here's a real genuine piece of Atari kit with that genuine Atari logo on it? I don't know. I don't. I know it doesn't appeal to me. But the Indiegogo campaign was a massive success, so clearly it appeals to someone. Yeah. I would say I don't want one, but as a collector's item maybe I do, but I don't want one to play games on. That's kind of weird and probably a bit wrong. Okay. That's kind of all I've got to talk about now, I think. Yeah. So coming up, like I've said, there's going to be more gameplays. There's going to be live streams. I may do more of this if I find anything I want to talk about. I want to say I want to do a live stream Q&A this weekend. I want to say that. The problem is I can't tell you which day it's going to be, because one of the days at the weekend I'm going to be round at Andrea's place. I'm going to spend the day with Andrea, and I don't know which day that is. So yeah, be aware, sometime this weekend it's going to be popping up on your YouTube feed somewhere, Steve Benway streaming live badly or something. God knows the upload speed I've got here. Probably that'll be happening live before this thing's even uploaded. But there you go. Okay, that is what is happening in the world of me. I will shut up now. Thank you for watching.
Right, hit the subscribe button or I'm getting naked on camera. Go on, do it. Right, you asked for it. Ah, you asked for it. Ha, ha, oh.